Hello everyone, welcome back to Oni-chan. At this moment, Luffy and Law finally reached the top of the castle, to face with Doflamingo. He immediately asked, "Why have you come here?" Luffy said, "We've come here to defeat you." Suddenly, Luffy witnessed him mercilessly torturing Bellamy, despite being his subordinate. This immediately made Luffy furious, and he kicked him. Unexpectedly, Doflamingo used Bellamy to block the attack for himself. He then created a clone made of string to attack Law. When Luffy was about to deal with Doflamingo, he immediately controlled Bellamy to stop him. At that moment, Law told Luffy to knock Bellamy out. But Luffy immediately refused. "He is my friend," Doflamingo said. "Weaklings don't get to choose their own deaths," which made Luffy angrily tell Law, "Now, I will immediately defeat him," which surprised Law, because this plan was meant to be a last-minute resort. So Luffy immediately turned to attack Law, making them think Luffy had gone mad. Unexpectedly, Law swapped positions with Doflamingo, so he was immediately hit by a powerful fiery fist from Luffy. While Law took care of this snotty-nosed guy, he immediately cut him into pieces that couldn't be reattached. But Doflamingo remained nothing matter, so he created a clone to fight Luffy. Meanwhile, Admiral Fujitora recognized that the Navy was not the one to rescue this kingdom, and that person was none other than Luffy. At this time, Luffy was fighting against Doflamingo. He shot threads at Luffy. Meanwhile, Trebol thought he had reattached his body, but he was surprised to find himself being separated again. When Law was about to finish off Trebol, Doflamingo immediately blocked Law, so he immediately struck a blow that knocked Law out. When Luffy rushed over, he was kicked away by him. He continued to tie up Luffy's arms and threw him at Bellamy, then controlled Bellamy to attack Luffy. At this moment, Doflamingo revealed his true identity. He is the Celestial Dragon. This surprised both Luffy and Law, but he was pushed onto the path to become a pirate as it is now, because his father had given up being a celestial dragon, exchange for a peaceful, normal life, so he killed his own father with his own hands, and now, his goal is to destroy this world. While the people of the entire kingdom were being controlled by Doflamingo, caused them to turn attack each other. At this moment, he continued to relentlessly attack Luffy, but Luffy's arms were still bound and unable to break free. So Luffy used his leg to block his attacks. Unexpected, Doflamingo's clone had reappeared behind him. He immediately kicked Luffy down below to separate Luffy and Law. At this point, only Law remained above. Doflamingo revealed to Law, it turns out his goal is to take Law's OP devil fruit, because the true abilities of this devil fruit could enable him to control the treasures of the Holy Land Mariajoy. And it is a supreme devil fruit that can grant immortality to humans. So Doflamingo continued to attack Law. In order to reclaim the OP devil fruit, Law was now fighting Doflamingo on his own, despite Law's continuous attacks, but they were all obstructed by him using his 5-color strings. It turns out that Law's main goal is to seek revenge for Corazon, and Corazon is also the younger brother of Doflamingo, who was killed by Doflamingo's own hands. He proceeded to release his devil fruit power once again. On Luffy's side, he was trying to help Bellamy break free from his control. When Luffy was about to attack, he immediately used Bellamy as a shield. At this point, Law asked Doflamingo, "What do you think about the D in Luffy's name?" Because Law knew he was a celestial dragon, and was very afraid of those with the initial D in their names. Suddenly, Law revealed that his own name also contained the D. Meanwhile, Luffy punched Doflamingo's clone into the wall, but he continued to use Bellamy to obstruct him, which made Luffy very angry. On Kairo's side, he was battling Diamante, a high-ranking officer. At this point, Diamante had used his devil fruit, turned the ground as soft as a flag. While Zoro was engaged in a battle with Pika, Sabo was trying to rescue the kingdom's citizens, and Doflamingo, upon learning that there's a D in Law's name, became furious and continued to attack him relentlessly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Law immediately counterattacked, causing Doflamingo to be injured, but for him, it still didn't seem to matter. So, Law proceeded to release his devil fruit power once more. Law immediately teleported to attack him, but Doflamingo managed to block it and kicked him down to the ground. He thought he had defeated Law. Surprising, Law immediately appeared behind him. Law cut off a piece of the castle and threw it straight at Doflamingo. So he used his string net to block it. No matter how Law continuously attacked, he couldn't make a single armpit hair fall off him. On Luffy's side, he still didn't know how to free Bellamy, so Luffy had to capture him first, but Doflamingo immediately obstructed him. On Zoro's side, he was still battling the stone human, Pika. He thought he had defeated Zoro. Unexpectedly, he was sliced into many pieces by Zoro. At this point, he had entered the castle. Pika even transformed into a larger form to continue his attack on Zoro. While Law was captured by Doflamingo, he pulled the strings from his leg and plunged straight to the ground. Doflamingo cut off one of Law's arms, causing him immense pain. Luffy, on the other hand, activated Gear 2. He quickly teleported in front of the clone, delivering a fiery punch to it, when Doflamingo was about to finish off Law. Similar to how he killed his own brother, at this point, Luffy had defeated the clone, made he very surprised, and he realized, I have underestimated you. Straw Hat. Doflamingo felt he had played enough, so Doflamingo released Bellamy, and kicked him from his crew. It turns out that in the past, Bellamy greatly admired Doflamingo, so Bellamy wanted to join his pirate crew. At this moment, he recalled the first met with Luffy. Despite being defeated by Luffy and always considering Luffy as his rival, but Luffy considered Bellamy as his friend. Suddenly, Bellamy wanted to challenge Luffy. Even though he was exhausted, he still tried to use his special technique. On the other hand, the others were still engaged in a fierce battle. The giant was constantly being pinned to the ground by the fat guy. He thought he had defeated him, so he started to target Zoro, but Hajjardine remembered Luffy and wanted to repay Usopp for saving him, so he was forced to win. When Macvise was about to use his 1,000-ton weight to crush Zoro, Hajjardine unexpectedly stood up, so Macvise immediately redirected his attack towards him. That's when Hajjardine used all his strength to block the heavy blow from the Macvise. This resulted in Hajjardine's bones being broken, so Macvise continued to increase the weight to 10,000 tons. But Hajjardine still didn't give up. He threw a punch that sent Macvise flying straight into Doflamingo's birdcage. In the end, he emerged victorious, while Zoro continued to battle Pika, so he went on to attack Pika's face. But Zoro kept slashing without hitting his true body, because he kept evading, so Bello suggested that he would lend a hand. It turns out he had a technique that could force Pika to appear, but Zoro said, I will be the one to defeat him. Suddenly, he attacked both of them. On Kairo's side, he was battling Diamante. It turns out he was the one who killed Kairos' wife, so Kairos was determined to defeat this ruthless individual. Unexpectedly, he could turn his clothes into steel to block Kairos' attacks. Suddenly, he aimed at Rebecca, so he rushed to intercept him, realizing that this ruthless guy kept targeting his daughter, so Kairos was determined to protect her. On Bellamy's side, he wanted to challenge Luffy, to protect his last trace of pride, but Luffy had no reason to fight him, which reminded Bellamy of how in the past, even when Luffy was beaten or humiliated, he never fought back, so Bellamy immediately rushed to punch Luffy in the stomach. Meanwhile, Doflamingo was continuously tormenting Law from above. Even though he lost one arm, he didn't give up and continued to attack him, taking advantage of the moment when Doflamingo wasn't paying attention. Law Electro shocked him, but to their surprise, Doflamingo remained unfazed and defeated him once again. At this point, Luffy still refused to fight Bellamy. On the other hand, Gladius was getting ready to detonate and blow everything up, which led Cavendish to reluctantly ask to take shelter inside Bartolomeo's barrier. However, if he opened the barrier, Robin would be in danger, so he firmly refused to open it. So Gladius immediately created an explosion that blew everything away. Gladius thought he had taken down Cavendish. Unexpectedly, Bartolomeo had managed to allow Cavendish to run inside, while Robin was trying to run as fast as she could towards Rebecca. So Gladius immediately continued to attack her, but luckily, Bartolomeo controlled the barrier to shield Robin. While Cavendish was about to attack Gladius, he was instead chased by Bartolomeo's barrier. This caused both of them to make a quick escape. Just as Dellinger arrived, he was immediately attacked by Cavendish's second personality. While he still didn't understand what was happening, he continued to be slashed by Cavendish at incredible speed. Even Bartolomeo didn't know who this person was. It turns out that whenever Cavendish falls asleep, his second personality would appear, with incredible speed, which frightened Bartolomeo. But luckily, Cavendish couldn't break through his barrier. Suddenly, both of them noticed a hole above, so Bartolomeo immediately covered it. Unexpectedly, he shifted his focus to Robin. He dashed towards her at an incredible speed. Fortunately, she managed to use her devil fruit power to catch him in time. See, Robin looked incredibly cool. This made Bartolomeo admire her even more. At this point, Cavendish had started to calm down. It turns out that his second personality is named Hakuba. Unexpectedly, both of them started arguing. They were fighting for control over the body, and suddenly, Gladius inflated the wall that Robin was standing on. Bartolomeo realized that he was targeting Robin. So Bartolomeo immediately rushed to attack him. So Gladius sacrificed a tuft of his hair to attack him. Suddenly, he inflated his own body. He transformed himself into a bomb. If Bartolomeo didn't stop him in time, Robin would be in danger. So Bartolomeo rushed in to create a barrier to shield both of them. It turns out he was willing to sacrifice himself to protect Robin. He thought he had defeated Gladius. Surprisingly, he was still alive, just with a bald head like Saitama. Because Bartolomeo hadn't completely defeated Gladius, his explosive power was still active. At this point, Cavendish was being controlled by Hakuba for part of his body, but he said, "Release me, and I will save her." This left Robin in a dilemma, not knowing what to do. Then Gladius activated his powers, causing them to explode, while Bartolomeo kept thinking that Robin had died. To his surprise, she was saved by Cavendish, but Hakuba still wanted to kill Robin. Fortunately, Cavendish regained control of his body and became unconscious. At this point, Bartolomeo blamed himself for putting Robin in danger, and he remembered the first time he saw Luffy at the execution platform. Despite facing execution, he still laughed. From that moment on, he always admired Luffy. So he trained every day with Luffy's Gomu Gomu techniques. In the end, Bartolomeo also met Luffy on this island. At this moment, he decided to use the technique he had been practicing. Bartolomeo charged forward, using a technique similar to Luffy's pistol, and he managed to defeat Gladius. While Diamante was attacking Rebecca, it was fortunate that Robin arrived in time to stop him. Robin said, "I will protect Rebecca. You can fight against him with confidence," which made Diamante trigged. Luffy still didn't want to fight Bellamy, so he continued to attack Luffy, to force Luffy to fight with him, while Frankie was still battling Senor. Each person will strike their opponent once. They see this as a battle of two men. Suddenly, Frankie was captured by Senor and thrown to the ground. But he could still stand up and continue, so Senor immediately used his swimming ability to charge straight at Frankie, even launching him into the sky. It turns out he wanted to knock out Frankie with a powerful slam. Senor thought he had defeated Frankie with that attack. As he turned to walk away, surprisingly, Frankie had regained consciousness. So, this was Frankie's turn to strike back at Senor. Senor realized he had reached his limit. At this moment, he remembered his deceased wife. It turns out that he used to be very handsome in the past, but by chance, he met a girl. Both two of them started dating. She told him that she didn't like pirates, so Senor had to keep his pirate identity a secret from her. Sometime later, they got married and had a child together. While Senor was away on a mission, their child fell ill and passed away. It was at this moment that his wife discovered Senor's deception, so she left in anger, but then she had an accident that left her in a vegetative state, which caused Senor a great deal of guilt over his lies. As a result, he visited the hospital every day to talk to his wife, hoping for a response from her. One day, as he was wearing baby clothes, Senor's wife smiled. From then on, he decided to wear baby clothes. Despite being ridiculed by others, what mattered most to him was the smile on his wife's face. In the end, Senor was defeated by Frankie. Nevertheless, Frankie had great respect for him, because he was a sincere and genuine man. So, Frankie managed to take control of the factory producing Smile Devil fruits, and together with the dwarves, they destroyed it. But at this point, Frankie had also reached his limit, while Kairos was continuously being attacked by Diamante. But when he attacked, Diamante effortlessly dodged. It turned out that Kairos had lost one leg, making it challenging to maintain balance. Suddenly, he continued to throw pieces of paper into the air, and turned them into iron balls aimed at them. So Robin immediately plucked sunflowers to block them, while Kairos had to use his sword to deflect the iron balls. Seeing this, it wasn't an easy. This unruly fellow immediately shot Kairos in the leg, causing him to fall to the ground and be attacked by the iron balls. He even said that the gun had killed Kairos' wife, which made Rebecca extremely furious. Suddenly, Kairos stood up, leaving him in awe. Kairos paid no attention to the iron ball rain, and he immediately rushed to attack Diamante, leaving him puzzled as to why his thousand death rain couldn't have any effect on Kairos. It turns out that it was the remorse for not to protect his wife, so that give more power to Kairos, determined to seek revenge and protect his daughter. At this point, Kairos continued to relentlessly attack him, but suddenly, he reached his limit and collapsed. Diamante then stepped forward to finish off Kairos. Surprisingly, he tried to stand up once again, and Kairos continued to charge into battle with him, but he still had confidence in his hardening ability. Unexpectedly, Kairos managed to break his sword, and defeat Diamante, which made Rebecca very happy, as they had finally avenged her mother. However, Robin was also injured while protecting Rebecca. On Zoro's side, he was still in a battle with Pika. At this moment, Pika had merged with a mountain, sprouting sharp spikes to attack Rebecca. Pika, seeing that Diamante had been defeated, turned his attention to Kairos and Rebecca. On Luffy's side, he was still being provoked by Bellamy. He continued to attack Luffy. Kairos, on the other hand, had no more strength to continue the fight. As for Zoro, he felt irritated. He was wondering where that guy had run off to while he was in the middle of a fight. Meanwhile, Pika was attacking Luffy's allies. As soon as he spotted him, Zoro immediately intercepted him. Suddenly, Pika transformed into a massive stone giant, make everyone terrifying at the moment. It turns out that his target was to eliminate King Riku, to help Doflamingo become the only king of this kingdom, while Zoro had to run quickly to stop him. At this point, as he walked, he was destroying everything. Zoro realized that he was very far away, and in that case, he wouldn't make it in time to rescue them. Despite the Navy's attempts to stop, they couldn't prevent Pika from advancing, causing Usopp's group to panic. At this moment, King Bello has finished heating up. He preparing to unleash his ultimate move, the King Punch, but Zoro come and say, if he can't hit his actual body, he won't be able to defeat Pika. They realize that they don't have much time left. So, Zoro quickly comes up with a plan and says, give me 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Pika is getting dangerously close to King Riku, leaving Usopp in a state of extreme fear. At this moment, Pika had begun to raise his gigantic fist, preparing to crush everyone. Meanwhile, Zoro is also ready. Orlumbus grabs Zoro, ready to throw him. Suddenly, all the citizens turn back to protect King Riku. They are determined to face life and death alongside their king. So, Pika decides to deal with all of them. Orlumbus swiftly throws Zoro away at an incredible speed. At this moment, Zoro begins to infuse haki into his 3 swords. It turns out he was about to use a new technique. With a single strike, he cuts the stone giant in half, leaving everyone astonished. Zoro continues his assault, splitting Pika in half. To find his true self, Zoro immediately realized that he was hiding inside the arm. So, he continues to cut the stone giant's arm. Finally, Pika did appear and spoke in a funny voice. He then decides to use full-body armament haki, in order to engage in a fierce battle with Zoro. At this moment, Zoro recalls his previous defeat against Mihawk. When using the 3-sword style technique, he promised not to lose again, so he decided to use his ultimate technique, the 3000 Worlds. Meanwhile, Pika remained confident in his haki. Unexpected, he was defeated with a single strike from Zoro, made everybody shocking at that time. However, the shattered pieces of Pika continued to fall towards Usopp's group. Fortunately, Bello had finished his preparations, and delivered a powerful punch that sent the stone giant flying. In the end, Zoro emerged victorious. At this moment, Zoro remembered when Mihawk told him before, that if he could control haki, he could turn his swords into black blades. On Fujitora's side, he had used gravity, to prevent the falling rocks from harming the citizens. At this point, the gladiators all realized Zoro's immense strength. Luckily for them, he didn't participate in the arena battles. On Luffy's side, he still refused to fight Bellamy, so Luffy continued to be attacked by him. Luffy couldn't understand why Bellamy had been abandoned by Doflamingo, but he still wanted to sacrifice himself for him. It turns out that Bellamy only wanted Luffy to defeat him, because it was his last bit of pride. Last time, after Luffy defeated Bellamy with just 1 punch, he began to follow Luffy, and his bounty kept increasing. While Luffy was angry about what Doflamingo had done to his crewmates, he made a decision. Just as Bellamy was charging towards him, he was immediately knocked out by Luffy with a single punch. Just like the last time Luffy defeated him, this time, Luffy was determined to defeat Doflamingo at all costs. Meanwhile, on above, Doflamingo had already defeated Law Up. He said that the devil fruit actually belonged to him from the beginning, and Law only had it thanks to Corazones, so Doflamingo demanded that Law use the ultimate power of the OP fruit, to perform surgery to make him immortal. Unexpectedly, Law agreed, making Doflamingo think that everything is very easy. Surprisingly, Law said, if you can resurrect Corazon, then I will help you become immortal, and Law stated that Luffy would definitely defeat him, which made Doflamingo turn angry. He kept shooting Law until they ran out of bullets, thinking Law was dead. In this way, he could retrieve the OP devil fruit. At this point, Doflamingo grew bored with the game, so he decided to shrink the birdcage. Suddenly, Luffy arrived, so he used Gear 3 to punch straight at Doflamingo. He created a string net to block Luffy's attack. Luffy then switched to his rapid-fire fisticuffs, but still couldn't land a hit on him. Fortunately, Luffy managed to dodge his string net. Suddenly, Luffy saw that there was blood everywhere around Law. Doflamingo approached, saying that Law was dead. This made Luffy furious, and he charged at Doflamingo in a relentless attack. Unexpectedly, Luffy mimicked Bellamy's spring-like technique, then delivered a powerful punch to Doflamingo, but he managed to block it and punch Luffy flying. At this moment, everyone could feel that Doflamingo's birdcage had shrunk, cut down everything in its path, causing everyone to panic and rushing back inside. So Doflamingo informed Luffy about it. If you can't defeat me in 1 hour, everyone will die. It turns out that Doflamingo was planning to obliterate the kingdom. In order to bury all his secrets, Luffy relentlessly charged at Doflamingo. However, Doflamingo managed to block it and sent Luffy back. Doflamingo thought he was about to defeat Luffy, but suddenly Law appeared, which took him by surprise. So, he was hit by Law's powerful counter-shock attack, which destroyed all of his internal organs from inside. This left Trable didn't understand why Law was still alive. It turns out that when Law was shot by Doflamingo, he had used his ability to switch places with a dead soldier. Thanks to that, Law remained safe. Law switched back only when Luffy arrived. At this moment he explained his plan to Luffy. However, that attack cannot defeat Doflamingo completely. So Luffy rushed in and delivered another powerful blow that sent Doflamingo flying. At this point, even though he had no strength left, Law wanted to personally finish off Doflamingo, to revenge for Corazon. So, he struggled to get up, and he used the devil fruit to finish off Doflamingo. Finally, he had the opportunity to avenge Corazon. When Trable tried to come to Doflamingo's rescue, Luffy stopped him immediately. Surprisingly, Doflamingo continued to insult Corazon. This made Law furious, and used electrical shock on him, leaving Doflamingo unconscious. But Law was also exhausted. Suddenly, Doflamingo was able to stand up again, shocking both of them. It turned out that Doflamingo had the ability to heal his own injuries using his strings. Trable immediately grabbed Luffy and threw him away, while Doflamingo approached to deal with Law, leaving him in despair, thinking he had lost. Unexpectedly, Luffy immediately returned to block his attack. "How dare you block me, Straw Hat?" So both of them unleashed Conqueror's Haki and faced off against each other. This caused the entire castle to tremble, and everyone could feel their power. Law saw that Luffy had Conqueror's Haki. He realized he had placed his trust in the right person. At this moment, Doflamingo remembered that when his entire family was captured by the citizens, he had already released his Conqueror's Haki at a young age. This made everyone pass out, and inadvertently, Trable learned that Doflamingo had Conqueror's Haki. He gave Doflamingo a devil fruit and a gun. So he used that gun to kill his own father, because Doflamingo believed that he had pushed his own family into this tragedy. Trable thought that only Doflamingo could be a true king. But unexpectedly, Luffy kicked him away. He continued to attack Doflamingo. This caused Doflamingo to be continuously hit, when Luffy was about to deliver a powerful strike. But Doflamingo didn't flinch. He laughed and quickly teleported, kicked Luffy fly away. Trable then caught Luffy, leaving him unable to break free from Trable's sticky substance. Doflamingo continued to deal with Law. So Luffy attacked Trable in an attempt to break free. Unexpectedly, Luffy couldn't land a hit on him, and he couldn't understand why. Even though he had used Haki, Trable wasn't hurt. Suddenly, Law insulted Trable, calling him a slimy idiot, which infuriated Trable and made him want to get rid of Law for daring to insult a high-ranking officer. It turned out that the four of them before were four persons who founded the Don Quixote Pirates. Knowing that Doflamingo possessed Conqueror's Haki and was a devil, so they elevated Doflamingo to be their leader. Anyone who dared to touch Doflamingo would all be defeated by them, and this instilled fear in all the townspeople, because they wanted Doflamingo to become their king. Suddenly, Law cursed Trable as a foolish person, because he had been manipulated by Doflamingo all along, making Trable angry. Decided to deal with him, taking advantage of this opportunity. Law immediately activated his abilities. He teleported his severed arm to strike him. Because that, Luffy managed to escape. Unexpectedly, this time Trable's true form was revealed. It turns out he was just a skinny guy. At this point, Luffy just realized why his attacks weren't hitting him. Suddenly, he ignited the sticky substance of his own, causing the entire castle to explode, making everyone not understand what's happening. Viola saw that Trable had been defeated. Fortunately, Luffy and Law managed to escape. Upon seeing Robin, Luffy immediately handed Law over to her. So, Robin created a net to catch Law. Suddenly, Doflamingo immediately attacked them, made Luffy from stopping him in time. Fortunately, Cavendish arrived to rescue them. Luffy asked him to take everyone away from here, so that he could focus on fighting Doflamingo, while Law was severely injured, in need of healing right away. In Luffy's side, he continued to relentlessly attack Doflamingo, but Luffy's attacks didn't seem matter to him at all. He said that while Luffy was fast, his attacks were too weak, and Doflamingo also told Luffy. It turns out he had been watching Luffy for a long time, and discovered the D in his name. At that time, Law wanted to stay here, because he couldn't exact his revenge on his own. But at least Law wanted to witness Luffy defeating Doflamingo, while Luffy continued to relentlessly attack him. But he managed to block it with his 5-color strings. Both of them continued to use Haki to engage in combat. On Cavendish's side, he was moved by Law's determination, so he decided to stay here to witness the battle alongside Law. At this moment, Bartolomeo created a staircase, let Robin's group to leave first, while Luffy was still engaged in combat with Doflamingo. Suddenly, he began to create a string net to capture Luffy. So, Luffy immediately used a fiery punch to attack him, causing Doflamingo to slam into the wall. But that nothing to he. So, Luffy continued to use Gear 3 to deliver a direct blow to Doflamingo. Surprisingly, he easily evaded the attack, and immediately countered with a kick that sent Luffy crashing to the ground. At this point, he said that in 1 hour, everyone would be dead, and the sound of their screams would echo throughout the country, making Luffy furious. He realized there wasn't much time left, so Luffy decided to use his new skill. It's time for me to use Gear 4. While all the people on the island were fearful, the birdcage continued to shrink with no one to stop it, causing everyone to worry. Zoro realized that they couldn't wait any longer, so he decided to run and try to stop the birdcage. On Law's side, he had his severed arm reattached by Leo and Mancheri. Now, they were all relying on Luffy's victory. At this moment, Luffy infused Haki into his arm, and he immediately inflated his arm with air, causing his body to inflate. This is Luffy's new form, Gear 4. Meanwhile, Doflamingo found it amusing, because this shape was no different than a rubber balloon. Are you mocking me? You're just inflating your body, right? It turns out Luffy had come up with this move 2 years ago. When Luffy trained with giant creatures, this form would help him increase the elasticity of rubber. So, Luffy compressed his arm back, and quickly charged at Doflamingo with incredible speed. He punched Doflamingo, sending him flying out of the castle, even sliding through the city. This surprised the citizens. They had no idea what had just fallen from the sky. Seeing Doflamingo made them gasp in awe. At this moment, he realized that Luffy's punch was too powerful. Suddenly, Luffy was flying to him at high speed. So, Doflamingo shot his fire string net to stop him. However, Luffy immediately flashed over to continue kicking him away. But Doflamingo was still able to get up, realizing that he had underestimated Luffy. So, he flew up into the sky, and Luffy immediately pursued him. Doflamingo then charged to attack him, but at this point, Doflamingo's strings couldn't harm Luffy anymore. Even Luffy's punches were harder than his. When Luffy attacked Doflamingo, he quickly dodged and teleported behind Luffy to sneak attack. However, his kicks were like mosquito bites to Luffy. Because his body was still made of Haki-infused rubber, Luffy used his punch to pursue Doflamingo, and even Fiery his strings neck couldn't stop him, so he was hit by another punch from Luffy once again, sending him flying through several buildings. Everyone was in awe, as it was indeed the Straw Hat Luffy. But Law realized that this technique of Luffy's consumed a lot of Haki. At this point, Luffy started to feel exhausted. Seeing that Doflamingo could still get up, Luffy realized that there wasn't much time left, so he went in for an attack. Suddenly, Doflamingo began to demonstrate his true abilities. He turned the ground into strings to block Luffy's punch, leaving Luffy wondering what kind of power this was. Doflamingo explained that his devil fruit also had another power called Awakening. He then turned everything around him into strings, and launched a continuous assault on Luffy. At this point, he could attack from all directions, because this power allowed him to turn everything into his weapons. Luffy was starting to get exhausted. The citizens still desperate, trying to run towards the center to escape from the birdcage. Many people had given up, but suddenly, King Riku made an announcement to them. All of Doflamingo's high-ranking officers had been defeated, and now he was the only one left fighting against Luffy. They still had hope for victory, which helped restore hope to everyone. encouraging them to assist others in getting to the center. Even a 90-year-old woman could run a marathon. At this point, Doflamingo continued to turn buildings into strings to attack Luffy, and he managed to catch him, while Doflamingo was still healing his own wounds. But he couldn't hold onto Luffy for long, so Luffy continued dash forward. He used even more strings to attack him. At this moment, Luffy realized that time was running out. Doflamingo had turned all the buildings in the town into strings, to fight a deadly fight with Luffy. But Luffy was too fast for him to hit, so Luffy shielded Haki into his head, and delivered a powerful blow to him. This sent Doflamingo flying, but he managed to catch Luffy's hand and throw him away. As he was about to tend to his wounds, then Luffy flashed in front of Doflamingo. He then used his bazooka move to send Doflamingo straight into a mountain. Seeing Doflamingo defeated, everyone was amazed by Luffy's strength. They all thought that Luffy had defeated him, made them very happy. The MC at the Colosseum just saw Luffy. He recognized Luffy as the gladiator Lucy. At this point, Luffy was bouncing in one place like a rubber ball. Can you stop? No. Leaving them also powerless against Luffy. Suddenly, Luffy realized that he hadn't completely defeated Doflamingo yet, because the birdcage hadn't disappeared yet. Luffy dashed forward and quickly launched another attack, but unexpected he had depleted his haki and returned to his normal form. As soon as Burgess saw Luffy exhausted, he took this opportunity to attack Luffy. It turns out his target this time was the Gomu Gomu no Mi Devil Fruit. At this point, Luffy was completely drained, but no one was willing to help him, because they considered Luffy a pirate. Doflamingo suddenly woke up, causing everyone to fear and flee, so he continued to healing the wounds for himself, while Luffy was completely exhausted, but no one was willing to stop and help him. Fortunately, the Colosseum MC ran to assist Luffy, because he was a hardcore fan of Luffy in the Colosseum. Luffy said, "I need 10 minutes. It turns out that after using Gear 4 and depleting his haki, Luffy needed 10 minutes to recover. Luffy said, "If I recover, I can defeat him with just one blow," which made the Colosseum MC happy. It's surprising that all the gladiators from the Colosseum also rallied to help Luffy. But at this point, Doflamingo had recovered as well. "This time, you won't escape from me, Straw Hat." As soon as he stepped down to the ground, he found himself surrounded by all the gladiators from the Colosseum. Meanwhile, the Colosseum MC immediately carried Luffy and ran away. Suddenly, Burgess jumped out to attack Luffy. Fortunately, Sabo arrived just in time to kick him and send him flying. When Luffy saw Sabo, he was very happy. "Luffy is my little brother. From now on, I will be the one to protect Luffy." At this moment, Burgess realized that Sabo was the one who had taken the Mera Mera no Mi from him, which made him very triggered. So, Sabo faced off against Burgess to allow Luffy's group to escape. Thanks to the power of the Mera Mera no Mi, Burgess was unable to hurt him. He was immediately subjected to continuous blows from Sabo, and sent him flying with his Dragon Claw Fist technique. Meanwhile, Doflamingo had finished of all the gladiators in the Colosseum. This time, he was determined to capture Luffy. In the center of the island, it was full of people, while Zoro had enveloped his sword in haki to stop Doflamingo's birdcage, and Kinemon's group was assisting him in this effort. Meanwhile, Frankie and the dwarves worked together to push the factory that produced devil fruits. Because it was made of sea stone, it couldn't be cut. Doflamingo, unable to locate Luffy, so had decided to increase the speed of narrowing the birdcage. This made the citizens even more desperate, while Sabo was still trying to prevent Burgess. But no matter how hard Burgess fought, he couldn't match Sabo's strength. Zoro was still working to stop the birdcage, and at this point, the birdcage had only 3 minutes left to contract, while Luffy still had 4 minutes left to recover. Bartolomeo created a massive shield to help everyone push the birdcage back together. At this moment, Robin remembered that they were all still injured from their earlier encounters. How could they recover so quickly? Leo explained that it was thanks to Princess Mancherry. She was using her powers to heal them. On Luffy's side, he was still running away, but Law suddenly appeared and said, "Hand him over to me." As for God Usopp, he encouraged the citizens to come and help push the birdcage, while Doflamingo was still searching for Luffy and defeating gladiators, but they remained determined to stop Doflamingo. At this moment, Rebecca found Doflamingo. Unexpectedly, Viola was also there to try to hinder him, but no matter how she attacked, she couldn't make a single hair on him fall, so he kicked her down to the ground. On Zoro's side, they were still trying to stop the birdcage, but its contracting speed was increasing. Suddenly, Fujitora also arrived to help them. At this moment, All the Marines also gathered together, and they used Haki to help Zoro's group. Not only the Marines, but also the citizens of the kingdom came to assist in stopping the birdcage, and the contracting speed of the birdcage decreased significantly. Seeing everyone joining forces and working together to prolong the time, this made Doflamingo angry. Viola took this opportunity to attack him, but Doflamingo easily blocked her. Viola continued to attack, only to be defeated by him once again. At this moment, he used his strings to control Viola, but surprise, Rebecca lost control again. It turned out that Doflamingo had taken control of her. He was planning to make Rebecca attack Viola. Now, there was only 1 minute left, and everyone was running out of time. So, they tried their best to stop the birdcage, while Princess Mancheri used her powers to heal everyone. Rebecca was being forced by Doflamingo to attack her aunt. But suddenly the Colosseum MC announced everyone that the gladiator Lucy has returned, and he is none other than Luffy, the Straw Hat. This time, he was determined to defeat Doflamingo with just one move, and it surprised everyone. But this time, everyone believed in Luffy and placed their hopes in him. The gladiators and Luffy's allies were ecstatic upon hearing the news. However, they suddenly began to feel exhausted, as Princess Mancheri's healing powers had worn off, while everyone was cheering for Luffy, and started counting backward from 10 seconds. So, he started to regain consciousness and tried to stand up. Suddenly, Doflamingo immediately attacked Gyatso. You talk too much. At this point, Luffy still hadn't appeared, making Doflamingo think Gyatso was just blabbering, while he was controlling Rebecca to attack Viola. Finally, Luffy also appeared instantly. It turns out Law had switched positions between Luffy and Viola. So, Luffy was now standing in front of Doflamingo. His return made everyone very happy. You've recovered your Haki, Straw Hat, haven't you? Realizing that Luffy still hadn't fully recovered, he immediately attacked Luffy. When Doflamingo was about to deal with Rebecca, Law immediately teleported her away. At this point, he continued to use his awakened power, and immediately caught Luffy. He then coated his sharp threads with Haki, continuously thrusting into Luffy's abdomen. Even though Luffy used Haki to defend himself, he was still sent flying straight into the mountain by Doflamingo. Then he delivered a powerful blow to Luffy. Seeing that Luffy still wasn't moving, Doflamingo continued to control Luffy's body, turning him into his puppet. At this point, Luffy remembered his training with Rayleigh, when he fought a monkey to practice a new technique. Doflamingo continued to humiliate the kingdom's citizens, and seeing everyone in this birdcage as just his puppets, made Luffy furious. So he decided to use Gear 4, and inflated his arms with air. In this state, Luffy easily destroyed Doflamingo's threads. But Doflamingo realized that Luffy was exhausted. Suddenly, Luffy immediately flew into the sky. To see how you can take me down with one hit, Doflamingo immediately chased after Luffy, and was determined to fight hard with him. At this point, Luffy continued to inflate his arms, helping his arms to grow even larger. Turns out, this move of Luffy is called King Kong Gun. Doflamingo also infused Haki into his threads aimed at Luffy. So Luffy used the gigantic fist to counter him. The combined power of both caused the entire island to shake. Doflamingo thought he could block it, but this time, Luffy unleashed all his strength. Luffy's punch broke through Doflamingo's threads, and struck Doflamingo right in the face, sending him crashing down below, and creating a large hole in the ground. Finally, Luffy emerged victorious. Seeing Luffy defeat Doflamingo made Rebecca cry. At this point, Luffy had run out of Haki and returned to normal. So Law immediately shifted him back. All the citizens still didn't know what had happened. When they looked up at the sky, the birdcage was slowly disappearing, which made them very happy. While the gladiators and Zoro's group were trying to push the cage, they stumbled and fell. At this moment, the MC announced to everyone that the battle had ended, and the winner was Lucy, which made everyone happy, because, in the end, they had escaped from the domination and deception of Doflamingo. And the hero Kairos also cried for the suffering brought upon him since Doflamingo appeared. At this point, Sabo had also defeated Burgess. When Sabo was about to spare him, Burgess insulted, "You and your brothers are all a bunch of cowards," and even insulted Ace. This made Sabo furious as he grabbed Burgess's head. "You've said enough." And it turns out that Sabo was still remorseful for Ace's death. He wasn't there when it happened. While Sabo was overcome with anger, he then attempted to sneak attack Sabo, but he managed to avoid it, and immediately made him shut his mouth. At this point, the Navy had gathered to capture all the leaders and even Doflamingo. Despite their fear, they had to securely restrain Doflamingo using Sea Stone. Meanwhile, Admiral Fujitora had come and knelt down to apologize to King Riku. Which surprised everyone, because the world government had been complicit with the warlords. Doflamingo was able to operate freely in this kingdom. At this point, the news had spread throughout the world from Dressrosa. It turned out that Fujitora wanted the entire world to know so that he could completely eliminate the warlord system. On the side of Mariajoy, Fleet Admiral Akainu contacted the five elders. Suddenly, they received the news that Luffy and Law had defeated Doflamingo, which surprised everyone. Akainu exclaimed, "It's that brat again." He then called Fujitora and scolded him for kneeling and apologizing, which had embarrassed the entire Navy headquarters. They also pressured Fujitora to immediately capture Luffy and Law. On Luffy's side, everyone was receiving medical treatment and resting. Suddenly, Sabo arrived to find them. Seeing Sabo made Robin very happy, and she told everyone that Sabo was Luffy's older brother. It turns out that he wanted to meet Luffy before leaving. Sabo then told everyone about their childhood, but after he was attacked by the celestial dragons, he was saved by Dragon, Luffy's father. However, Sabo lost all his memories, so he joined the Revolutionary Army. Since then, Sabo's rapid progress, even defeating Hack, led to Kuma taking on his training. However, Sabo continued to receive tough training from him. Meanwhile, Luffy and Ace believed that Sabo had died, so both of them made a promise to become great pirates. Sometime later, Sabo had progressed significantly. At this point, he set his sights on Dragon, but was put to bed early. A few years later, Ace bid farewell to Luffy to set sail. While Sabo had become much stronger, he even learned how to use haki, and Sabo eventually became the chief of staff of the Revolutionary Army. After the decisive battle between the Whitebeard pirates and the Marines ended, Sabo heard people talking about Ace. Seeing a picture of Ace, Sabo was shocked, because finally, his memories returned. The three of them had shared a cup of sake to become brothers, making Sabo start to feel confused and cry. "I remember now, Ace wasn't just any pirate or a threat, but he is my brother." Sometime later, Sabo visited Ace's grave, before heading to the arena to win the Mera Mera no Mi. At this point, Luffy was unsure of who could help him get the Mera Mera fruit. Unexpectedly, Sabo appeared. Seeing Sabo, Luffy immediately burst into tears. "It's Sabo, my brother." Luffy immediately hugged Sabo. "Sabo, I let Ace die before my eyes, even though Ace is gone. But I'm thankful you're still alive, Luffy. I couldn't bear to lose you too." So Luffy entrusted Ace's devil fruit to Sabo. At this point, Sabo was prepared to leave. "Please take care of Luffy for me, everyone." The next morning, everyone began rebuilding the kingdom together, while Luffy woke up, and started to fill his stomach again. Suddenly, they heard that Admiral Fujitora had ordered Luffy's capture, so the group realized it was time to leave, and the Navy began to take action to surround Luffy's group. But Bartolomeo said that the gladiators had prepared an escape route for them. At this point, the Marines were closing in, so the group fled together. Suddenly, Luffy realized he had one more thing to do, so Luffy separated from the group and headed straight for the castle. Although the Marines were relentlessly pursuing him, but they couldn't catch Luffy. Meanwhile, the gladiators were helping God Usopp clear a path to the port. It turns out Luffy was looking for Rebecca. "Do you want to meet your toy soldier? Come with me." Rebecca agreed, and Luffy immediately carried her away, causing the whole palace to become chaotic. The citizens were shocked to hear that Luffy had taken their princess, so everyone chased after Luffy, to get him to return Rebecca. Suddenly, they were surrounded by the Marines, so Luffy knocked the entire group out. Realizing that the Marines were too many, Luffy carried Rebecca and flew up, which made her scared. The mountain in front is the home of the toy soldier. While Kairos was preparing to leave the kingdom, because he felt guilty for not being able to protect Rebecca and his wife, Rebecca was carried by Luffy to the mountaintop, and she ran quickly to the flower field to meet her father. As Kairos was stepping out, Rebecca arrived, which surprised him. At this point, Rebecca said she wanted to be with Kairos, which made him cry, because in the end, Rebecca had accepted him. On Zoro's side, he was caught up by Fujitora, while Luffy was trying to return to regroup with everyone. Zoro was about to fight him. The fighters stepped in and told them to leave it to us. So Bartolomeo created a shield to block Fujitora. Suddenly, he unleashed his gravity devil fruit power, gathering all the rubble on the entire island, causing the group to panic. If he used this to attack them, everyone will die. Luckily, Luffy arrived at last, so he used Gear 3 to attack Fujitora. Even though Luffy knew he was a Marine Admiral, Luffy remained unyielding and declared, "Now, whether they're Yonko or Marine Admirals, I'll defeat them all. While Bartolomeo was scared, Luffy continued to attack Fujitora, so he used gravity to push Luffy to the ground. Luffy then slammed his head onto the ground to create a rebound. Knowing that Fujitora was blind, Luffy kept describing how he would attack so Fujitora would know. He continued to use gravity to push Luffy down. At this point, Fujitora thought that Luffy was underestimating him, because he saw him as a blind man. It turns out Luffy wanted to defeat Fujitora fairly, so Luffy made him laugh, because he found Luffy too interesting. Fujitora concentrated gravity into his sword, and attacked Luffy with a powerful strike, sending him flying away. Luckily, Hajordine managed to catch Luffy, stopped him from fighting Fujitora, so they all ran to the port together, which surprised Usopp because they had prepared many ships. At this point, Fujitora still wanted to capture Luffy, so he used a giant stone sphere to chase them, making everyone worried, because they didn't know how to escape from this mess. So Fujitora released the stone sphere, to prepare to sink them all. But suddenly, all the citizens of Dressrosa rushed to the scene, surprising Fujitora, and he couldn't continue to take action. At this point, Fujitora realized, on the surface, they were kick Luffy's group away, but in reality, all the island's citizens were protecting Luffy's group to ensure their safety. Because he didn't sense any anger from them, Fujitora began to feel regret. In hindsight, I shouldn't have blinded my own eyes, otherwise, I could have seen Luffy's face clearly. In the end, Luffy's group made it to the ship. Suddenly, all the fighters, captains, and their 5,600 subordinates decided to choose Luffy as their boss, and asked to serve under the Straw Hat Pirates, surprising everyone. So Bartolomeo poured the toast of brotherhood, but Luffy unexpectedly said, "I won't drink this glass of wine," because if he did, he would become the commander of a fleet of 5,600 people. But Luffy didn't like that, so he told everyone, "I don't want to be anyone's boss, but if anyone in our group is in danger, we'll immediately come to each other's aid," making Bartolomeo idolize Luffy even more, because he wanted to be a free person. Unexpectedly, they declared it on their own. Even though Luffy didn't agree, they all considered Luffy as their boss. Finally, the Straw Hat Pirates' 5,600-member fleet was formed, making everyone very happy, and they celebrated together. Today's video ends here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, to support Oni-chan in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching, much love.